Hi and welcome to this proof of concept demonstration. My name is Björn, and in this video I'm going to walk you through an overview of the SPTrainer framework and how this will actually work for the user. Keep in mind though that this is an early stage. This is a proof of concept, so I'm basically just showing you how this will work at some point. And the entire framework actually works at the moment, and what you see here is actually based on code that's runnable, and it uses the plugin framework and everything. So, but there are still some issues here, and there are some design decisions that need to be made, and I'm getting back to that in just a moment. Now, the first thing I want to do is just walk you through one of the missions here, and in SPTrainer, a mission is sort of a set of steps that the user needs to perform. For this example, I've created two sample missions that basically walks the user through creating a document library, and the other one is just guiding them to the create page or to create a new site content type here. So what I have here is I'm using the personal actions menu as sort of the interaction with the SPTrainer framework here. So as you can see here, I have two missions that are available to create a document library and to create a new content type. So if I start create a document library, you'll see that I get a pop-up dialog, and this will, as I said in this demonstration, I'm just using some simple techniques here. So in the final product, you can use some more fancy interaction with the user to create some overlay in JavaScript or something like that. So I'm just alerting all the messages here now. So we'll get a welcome to the tutorial dialog, and then we'll get the instructions for the first task here. So I'll hit OK, and currently what happens when I start this is that I'm now in a mission, and when I'm in a mission, you can see that I now have the instructions and the current missions as part of the personal actions menu, and of course this can be modified in any way in the final product. So my first task here is basically to go to the create page. So when I go to the create page now, and as you can see, if I go to any of the other pages here, I'm not actually completing the task at all. But when I go to the create page, I'm basically just triggered the plugin that detects that my task has completed. So I get a task completed message, and then I get the instructions for the next task here. So this will be to go to the document to create a new document library. So if I now go to create a new document library here, I get some further instructions. And then I'll just use the name documents to create a new document library. And once I create that, I get a mission completed message just saying that I've now completed the current mission. So this is basically how this would work for the user. And currently I'm not tracking anything in statistics databases or anything like that. So as I said, this is an early concept to show you how this will work. And of course, the user at any point can start any other mission, or one can sort of detect what missions have actually been completed and just show them the uncompleted missions. And there's a lot of options here. So if I just walk through another mission here, I'm told to create a new site content type. So I now need to go to the site settings page. And once I do that, I get a completed message, and then I go to the next instructions. So I want to go to the site content type management, which is located here. So once I do that, I'll get some more instructions, and then I'll hit the create page. And now, once I actually get to that page, I've completed this mission. So as you can see, we have some options here for how you want to create your missions. So how are these missions defined? Well, first of all, the missions itself is really simple. It's just a custom list with a title, and there's nothing fancy added to it. I'm seeing that in the final product, I want to have some support for some more options here. I want to have a customized mission completed message, and I want to have some time limits, and I want to have some other options here. So currently, the missions framework or the mission support is really simple. But each of the missions consists of a set of tasks. And as you can see here, the tasks are just set up in order, and these are also just SharePoint items. There's nothing, there's no external databases or anything like that. So I'm using SharePoint for everything here, which means that it's actually a really extensible framework, because all the missions and all the tasks here can actually be deployed as features. So third-party tutorial developers can create new missions and new tasks simply by creating SharePoint content here. And I'll show you how this works in a few moments. So as you can see here in the document, create the document library missions, we have 4 tasks that the users need to complete. And starting at the front page is actually auto-completed, because currently I'm redirecting the user to the front page. And if we look at the task here, the actual task here, you'll see that we have a title, and we have a reference to the mission, and we also have a reference to the task definition. And in the task definition, I'm basically just saying what kind of event should be triggered. And this is also where you can add custom task types, and I'll show you that in a moment. The task order here is basically just an integer that is used for sorting purposes. You don't need to have them in sequence, so you can have 100, 200, 300, etc. And that allows you to actually insert new tasks or new steps in the middle of a mission. And you can, of course, resort everything and sort of handle that in whatever way you like. I've also added a time limit in minutes, although that's not supported in this current version. And I have the task success message, and of course, since this is an auto-completed task, I'm using this as sort of a welcome to the mission message here. I also support task failed messages in case the time limit expires, or if you want to sort of make sure that the user only does the certain steps that you want, and anything else will sort of get the task to fail. You can add that as well. And of course, the task instructions are added to give the user some information about what they're currently trying to perform here. Now, the what you need to check out further here, or what you need to understand here, is that each task is a link between a mission and a task definition. And if you look at the task definitions, you'll see that these are basically just the pages, in this case, that the user needs to go to. For instance, in the front page task, you'll see that we have just a title, and then we have a page URL. But what's really important here is the content type here. The content type here is a SPTrainer page task, and that content type is actually an external plugin that allows the user or the third-party developer to create new task types. So in this case, and in this demonstration, I only have a page task available. But as these tasks are really just SharePoint content types and a supporting assembly, you can create third-party task type. For instance, if you want to have a task type that interacts with the page itself, and you can sort of add some JavaScript to trigger controls being clicked, or you can have a Silverlight control, and you can have interactions with that Silverlight control, or the result from the Silverlight control being part of your task type, etc. You can develop these third-party task types as you like, and this demonstration actually uses one of those plugins. So what you're seeing here, as I said, that's running code, and it shows off how the framework will actually work. And to show you how these extensions are actually performed, I have here a simple the project here, and in this case I have a basic tasks project, and this is actually the task code that's running now to trigger the page events here. So as you can see here, we have a simple feature here, and this basically adds a new content type, and this is just it's a plain content type. It does nothing fancy really. It inherits from one of the built-in or the SPTrainer task types. And then I add a simple field here, which is the column page URL, which I'm using in my code to actually detect which page the user should go to. And as you can see here, I'm using a custom XML document which defines a task assembly, which is a DLL file. And then inside that assembly, I also define a class that will handle all the logic of detecting whether the task has been completed and react to the various events that the user performs here. So if you look at that assembly file, and as you can see here, this is a really simple class here. It reacts to a set of events, and this is the same way that SharePoint actually uses their event receivers. So this should also be familiar to third-party developers. So I have a series of events that I can react to. And in this case, I'm reacting to the page open event, and I get a series of properties here. And what I'm doing here is I'm just checking the current page URL, which is part of the task definition item. And I'm checking that towards the current page URL. And if these match, I'm setting the task state to completed. And then I'm just outputting a script output, which is the feedback. As I said, this is using JavaScript to just alert something. But of course, in the production environment and in the final product, this will be much more fancy. Of course, if it doesn't work, then I will just say it's still in progress, and then I'm adding the instructions for the task to a message. And the message here is used in a variety of purposes here. I also trigger some other events here. I have a task begun, which is triggered when a task is completed and another task begins. So I'm basically just here, again, I'm just outputting the task instructions in an alert box, which is why you saw the pop-up with the new instructions to the user once their task has completed. And there are a series of these kinds of events that the third-party developer can actually work with here. So this is basically just an outline of how this framework will actually work. And in the completed product, I want to do a lot more work to actually make this sort of into a user-friendly environment. And also to sort of make this more enterprise-like. For instance, the current page task just checks the site relative URL, but there's nothing that prevents the current mission to actually work cross-site or cross-web application or even cross-farm. So as long as we have the tracker control, which is the delegate control that will actually track what the user does and fire all the events depending on what happens, etc. As long as that's added to a page, you can actually track any activity throughout the entire site. So if you deploy this on a farm level scope, you can actually track the entire farm, and even you can, if you really want to be brave, you can actually do this cross farm as well, so you can direct the users to other farms. And all the magic here is done through SharePoint supportable features. If you just go through the different features here, you can see that the basic tasks is the task type that I just showed you in the Visual Studio. And this, again, this is all you need to do. You actually deploy this content type and deploy the assembly, and that's all you need to do to actually add the new task type here. You have some basic content types that are required to actually make the entire thing work here. The custom action is basically just the thing that allows you to start a new mission and get the current task once you're inside the mission. And there's also the actual tracker is currently installed as a web scoped feature. You can see here there's a tracker control that actually tracks what the user does and fires the corresponding events in the task type assembly code. Now the final thing I want to show you is how easily you can actually deploy these missions as part of a standard SharePoint solution here. Now as you can see here, there are a set of task definitions, which are the tasks that the user should perform, and you have the tasks and you have the missions. Notice that all of these are actually SharePoint content, so there's no external database or anything that will actually need to be updated. So external developers and developers of both the various task types and the actual training tutorial or training missions themselves only need to know SharePoint in order to actually develop extensions for SPTrainer. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you another feature that I've been developing to actually extract some data from these missions and from this site. So you can basically author your entire experience inside SharePoint and then just extract all the data into a deployable feed. In order to do this, I'm just going to deploy this new solution, and I'm going to be back in a couple of moments after I've done that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to enable that data extractor. I've installed this here, so you can now see that we have a sample data extractor here. And I'll just activate this. The sample data extractor is developed as part of a project for the Understanding SharePoint journal. So that'll be explained in detail in issue 6 of Understanding SharePoint journal. Now, what this sample data extractor does is basically just add a new export sample data setting to the list settings here, and once you sort of go to extract this data, you'll basically be allowed to extract all this content into a sample data feature. So you can now basically just select all of this. This will create a list instance containing all the data from the current list here. So if we'll just go and select all of this, and we can go into the SPTrainer here, and I have a missions demo feature that I've created here. So I'll just go into the elements file here, and then I can just paste this entire code here, which contains now all the definitions for this list instance as it's currently the current data of that list instance. And of course, I can do this for all the content here. I can go into the task definitions as well, and I can just export this data here. Like this. I can go back into the elements file of that solution here, like this. And now I've basically just created a set of tasks in the task definitions and added this as a feature. So what I can do here is I can basically just now build this WSP, and I can deploy it, and that'll basically just recreate the entire experience here. So and of course there are some issues with this at the moment, actually, because I'm using some lookup columns, and from a technical perspective, the lookup column or deploying data that uses lookup columns is actually not supported, and it doesn't really work. But as I said, in the final product, I'm actually going to work around this. And again, this shows you how you can actually create or export existing missions. If you want to create new missions, of course, all you need to do is to go into the missions here, and then you'll create some new mission. For instance, in this case, we want to go to the users and groups, or we can find something a bit more interesting here. Let's say create a new group, like this. And then we'll hit OK, and that'll basically make the mission available here. So if you now go into the tasks, we can start adding tasks to that mission. So we'll basically just say we'll start with the front page, which is the auto-completed task, like this. And then we'll say that this belongs to the create a new group, and the task definition we want to use is to go to the front page, and then we want this to be the first one. And of course, this is a auto-completed task, so we'll just say welcome to this tutorial. And I'm not going to walk through all the steps here, but I just want to show you how you can actually author a new mission here. So I'll create a second task here, which is to go to site settings, like this. And the mission again is create a new group, and the task definition here is go to the site settings. And once that's completed, we'll say cool, you found the site settings page, or something like that. We can just do something simple here. And of course, if we want to add some instructions here, we'll say go to the site settings page, like this. My fingers are fumbling always when I'm doing these demonstrations, like this. So as I said, this is not a complete mission, but it's just shows you how you can actually author these missions. So if I start that mission now, I can go to create a new group,